Trenbolone recovery protocol. This is an actual case study I want to bring to you guys. Trenbolone is absolutely one of the most powerful anabolic steroids in the world. Everyone knows that. It's a classic 19-nortestosterone-derived steroid. It's been out there for decades, and it absolutely builds tons of hard, dry muscle for men in the bulking period, and also for the competitive side of not just bodybuilding, but strong men and powerlifters use it. However, it has some very, very severe side effects. Beyond the tren cough, I think the most important side effects are going to be what it does to the central nervous system. And there's no question that Trenbolone affects the personality, and everyone will say that, hey, doc, you know, that roid rage thing is really kind of squirrely. I don't know if I believe it, doc. I think it's an asshole. I think it's an asshole on steroids. And you see guys that are taking tren, even the nicest guys in the world, most mild-mannered guys, will be super short-fused. And it definitely affects a man's personality. But a lot of guys can control it, and they like it because aggressiveness is great, right? When training, for training. So another thing that I think every man's going to agree on this is hypersexual behavior. Tren makes men very horny and very sexual. Although there's a point where it starts to turn against you, and then getting off tren is certainly an issue for this. So for today's presentation, we're going to talk about how Trenbolone affected a man and how it affected his central nervous system in a withdrawal period that was very, very severe for this man. It's a 34-year-old gentleman who came to me not too long ago, a few weeks ago actually, and he has 6 years of history of anabolic steroid use. I'd say he's a mild to a moderate user. He's not a professional guy as far as bodybuilding and powerlifting. He's 5'9", 200, 215, very lean. He enjoys just to be big and strong on steroids. And after his first couple of years, he's been blasting and cruising. He doesn't come off testosterone, as you know. He has to blast and cruise. So he stays on testosterone about 200 to 400 per week, and he adds through the years. He'll add Anavar for 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 40 milligrams. Doesn't go up much higher than that. He adds some equipoise, about 300, and Turinabol, the dry D-ball, he said. Now, he used tren back in his early years, so he started steroids. He's 34, he started around 28. So the first year or two, he tried tren, and he had very poor side effects, and he stayed off it since this time, until now he tried it again, you'll see. He had, way back when, he had panic attacks, he had those horrible night sweats, and his girlfriend at the time said she was terrified. His personality really changed, and she couldn't believe how he was just soaking the sheets. So he stopped tren at that time. He didn't say how long he took it, but he was able to get off tren early on, and he hasn't touched it. He was on these other steroids, and he was happy with that and doing quite well. Now, about 8 months ago, he feels it's time to try tren again. He feels he's ready for it, and he's kind of mature now, and he wants to pack on some more size, and he realized that so many people are using tren that he wants to give it a run. So he starts Trenbolone acetate, 300 a week, right? He thought that wasn't much. 150 milligrams twice a week. He was on testosterone Nantate 400, and he was on Anavar 40 a day. It's one of the steroids he likes, that combination. Now, he did it for about 8 weeks, and he said the gains were unbelievable on top of everything else he did, and trained hard and ate great. And the side effects, he said initially the sweats kind of resolved, he thought, and the personality, the short temper and all this stuff kind of, he said crept up on him. You know, he was able to deal with that. No panic attacks really at all, and he was happy about that, but he felt the short temper. He felt that, but he said that's part of the aggression. He was able to deal with that. But then the sexual side effects kicked in. He was having full-blown ED after 2 months on this regimen with the testosterone, with the Tren, and with the Anavar. And so he stopped it. He became very worried. He stopped it, and at this time, he stopped the Tren. He's abruptly, doesn't wean it, just stops it, keeps testosterone 400. He stops the Anavar, and now for 2 months, he goes into a withdrawal period, so he's on testosterone only, and he's just by himself. He's getting through work and things. He's going into a spiral, he said, of just a very bad depression. Now, he has no history of depression, very healthy guy, never has mood disorders, never had anything at all in his life. And he went into a period where he had to stop working. Fortunately, he was able to stop working, but people in his life and his family, he's not married, they're really concerned for him. And he was just kind of a lone kind of a guy, wanted to just be on his own and push people away. And some people in his life stayed around him and made sure he's okay, made sure he went to a doctor, and he saw an endocrinologist. The endocrinologist didn't know what to do appropriately. He just said stop everything, and he didn't want to do that. And then he found that his primary care doctor actually wanted to help, but wasn't sure what to do. So they started their own recovery protocol for Tren. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you're concerned for your testosterone levels. In addition to testosterone, you want to check sexually binding globulin, estradiol, free androgen index, and potentially cortisol. That's where I want to talk about today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked. They're a worldwide leader in at-home test kits, so you can get a comprehensive look at your testosterone levels and other labs without even leaving your home. You can order a test kit that will be delivered to you in discreet packaging. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available from your secure online account within 2 to 5 business days. These results are reviewed by a clinician, and a member of the Let's Get Checked nursing team may call you to review your results. Let's Get Checked laboratories are CLIA approved and CAP accredited, which are the highest ranking levels of accreditation for labs. So if you want to test your hormone levels without having to leave your home, visit trylgc.com. And only for the Anabolic Doc fans, check out in the description the link and use promo code Anabolic Doc. They started their own recovery protocol for Tren. This is after 2 months of him just being on testosterone and still suffering with ED, full-blown ED, nervousness, and depression. So they kept him on TRT, and they weaned it over a period up until when he saw me a few weeks ago, where he went from 400 to 200 to now he's on 0.2 every other day of Cypionate, because the doctor is giving him Cypionate right out of a pharmacy, which is awesome. That's about 40 milligrams every injection every other day. It's about 120 a week. And they initially started some HCG, 750 every other day, down to 250. It had horrible estrogenic symptoms with all that testosterone he was on. And he realized that he's on testosterone, so what is the HCG doing? He's not coming off to get his testicles. So he's just going to stay on testosterone. But they came up with 2 medicines. I thought it's brilliant, and that's why I'm bringing this to you guys. Because of the depression, he agreed to take Zoloft, 50 milligrams a day. It's a classic serotonin-specific reuptake inhibitor. But at the same time, they started carbergeline. And again, this is really not rocket science, but this case just resonated for me that I want to share it with you guys to understand. So maybe you could use this to mitigate the suffering that men may have with the depression and the sexual symptoms. I don't think it's going to reset anything so much in that it gets you through a time. It gets you through a period where your body can recover. So the carbergeline, the dose, 0.75, 0.75, down to 0.5 milligrams twice a week. That is, can you believe how teeny? And I use this medicine sometimes very carefully. It's an arrogate-derived dopaminergic agonist for Parkinson's disease. So the thought is here, you're using the Zoloft, which is increasing serotonin in the central nervous system, classic SSRI, on top of piggybacking the cabergoline for the dopamine, serotonin and dopamine. Boy, if you have mania though, or if you have any schizophrenia or anything like this, boy, it's a nightmare. So this is a utility of a very careful protocol with a doctor, primary care doctor, with the guy kind of running the show himself, and now they're coming to me. We're all going to work together. They gave him some tadalafil for the erections, and he came to me and he said it worked. It took a few weeks for the Zoloft and for the cabergoline to kick in, but it worked. And I thought, that's amazing. And they're not doing brain MRIs. They checked his prolactin. It was almost zero. Of course, because when you're taking almost a milligram of cabergoline twice a week, you're going to knock out a normal man's prolactin. And we all know that those Nor-19 drugs, they're mediating the sexual side effects. Certainly with Decadex, everyone's going to think about prolactin, right? We really don't know. So, but I thought this was brilliant. Now the guy's with me. He's on TRT. He's feeling good. He's kind of in a holding pattern, but he's recovered. He's back to work and he's feeling great. Now, I just want to bring this to you guys. I want to just bring this out. Come on now. Let's get the comments. Let's open it up, guys, for the world. So many men are using steroids, and particularly Tren, on top of sundry drugs, other steroids, miscellaneous. And when they come off, there's really withdrawal syndrome, mainly for the sexual symptoms. Some men, even on testosterone, just don't seem to really come back. And that's the fear. It's my fear for when you use Tren, that it just seems to change men. Is it permanent? It's very rare that it's permanent. But boy, there's a recovery period that could be months, even on testosterone. Forget a guy who's coming off completely everything is going to wait, who has anabolic steroid-induced hypogonadism. That is going to be just deadly decision to not even stay on any androgen whatsoever when you could use the esters to wean. You know, we just don't know if combinations of anything like selective estrogen receptor modulators, clomidine or even N-clomiphene with HCG, tamoxifen, any kind of other classic for any period to work and to stimulate the brain with the hypothalamus pituitary gonadal axis, hitting it from the gonadal axis with the HCG, the LH, and the FSH analogs. And there's others, Brevell, Obadril. There's many, there's several. And all these permutations and combinations, but staying on testosterone for this man, weaning it down, and giving dopaminergic, although I think he can't live on this forever, he's going to wean off that, and a little Zoloft. This was a brilliant idea. They did a great job. So here he is, and here we are. Kind of a complicated case, guys. Definitely not medical advice, as I want you to understand how complex this is. And for all you men that have never used Tren or any steroids, listen to this. You see, that's what you're really rolling the dice, and it may be okay, but then it may not be okay. And you may have to forego some sex for a while or even some depression. Is it worth it? I'm here for you guys. This is super progressive. I want you all to get on the Anabolic Doc app and learn more with the live Zoom show, the Man to Man, where I go into all this stuff uncensored for you men all over the world. This is my future. The Anabolic Doc app is going to be there, growing and growing to unlimited and epic proportions to take care of men that are utilizing steroids, all for educational purposes, because you need to understand what you're doing to make your own decisions for yourself. This is progression and freedom. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I really hope this helps as many men as possible. Let's get the comments.